A show act that goes wrong, a soccer player who pulls down his shorts a little too much, or a woman who washes her dirty laundry live on set. Sit back and relax. Here are some people who forgot they were on live television. On an American Got Talent show, a young man showed up with his girlfriend on set to perform a perilous act. The act consisted of pushing a long stick into his esophagus with a target at the end. His teammate then had to send a flaming arrow with her bow. As you might have guessed, the goal is to shoot the arrow into the middle of the target, but that's not at all what happens. While shooting at the target, the young woman completely missed and sent the arrow a little to the side. This made the stuntman receive the arrow on fire on his left shoulder. He who wanted to give a show, I can tell you that he has really lit the fire on the set, as our Johnny would have said. Everyone was shocked by what had just happened. Even though he didn't show it, the young man had a pain in the ass when he received the burning arrow, especially since he didn't expect his teammate to miss on this one. After a few minutes, he was able to come to his senses and showed everyone that he was doing better. But as he left the set, he made a firm decision to change teammates. Reporter Katie Bradford was reporting for TVNZ's One News from Auckland, and while she was talking to the camera, a young woman came up to her and tried to kiss her on the cheek, while others would have been destabilized. The journalist's reaction was to elbow her assailant away as discreetly as possible, while remaining impassive and straight in her boots. The woman continued her report in front of the camera as if nothing had happened and without a single stammer, not even an eyebrow raise. Even though this incident was very unsettling for her, the reporter did not let on, and this impressive reaction was praised by everyone. Many have highlighted her professionalism on social networks. After this incident, Katie Bradford became the queen of the live show for her qualities of unflappable journalist. In the show Philippine Kalyeserie, dedicated to parodies, a group of actors had to parody the scene of a wedding between Yaya Dub, played by Maid Mendoza, with Frankie Aranoli, played by Jose Manalo. At the moment when the fake bride and the fake groom had to make their entrance live in front of the camera, Yaya Dub, not feeling very well, fainted. As they did not expect it at all and it was not part of their scenario, all the actors present on the scene panicked. They started to wake up the young woman who had fainted for real, but since they were live, they absolutely had to continue their performance. While the camera crew came to evacuate the young actress, the others tried to improvise to make the viewer forget the incident. They tried to improvise a little humor and tried to continue their show without the role of the bride. A very difficult performance since the bride is still a main role in the scene, especially since live improvisation is always very complicated, even for the most professional actors. In the end, they were able to finish their scene as normally as possible and came out very proud of the way they handled things. In 2020, during a soccer match of the local championship of Paraguay, the footballer Raul Bobadilla was playing well. In the 86th minute, the Guarani striker scored a phenomenal goal. Very happy and proud of himself, the Paraguayan decided to celebrate in his own way. In front of thousands of supporters, the man will first remove his shirt, then rips off his GPS bra, to then attack his shorts that he will, without feeling it, lower a little too much since it revealed the birth of his private parts. An incredible and amazing scene that left everyone on their butts. It must be said, his joy has unfortunately resulted in a heavy penalty since the Paraguayan Federation has decided on the fate of Bobadilla. The player is suspended for 5 games and must pay a fine equivalent to 10 months of minimum wage, but not enough to annoy our Bobadilla, who was still so happy to have scored. Nevertheless, he made a public apology after the game, saying he regretted to have been a little, or a lot, excited. Let this be a lesson to him. Next time, he will know how to stop at the right moment. On the set of Touche Pas à Mon Poste, presented by Cyril Hanouna, Doc Gyneco was debating with the other guests of the show when suddenly he was taken by a pressing desire to release a burp. And while Cyril Hanouna was unpacking a long monologue, the singer let go and released a very melodious burp. The only problem is that he thought his microphone was deactivated, but it was not. As a result, his burp was well perceived by all the guests as well as the public, who immediately laughed. Very embarrassed, Doc Gyneco did not know how to make up for his embarrassment and just smiled shyly, while Cyril Hanouna tried to relax the atmosphere and make fun of the thing with one of his famous jokes. So doctor, do we have digestive problems? Maybe he had to go to the doctor that day. This journalist was shooting a live report for the TV news, and to be sure not to be disturbed by anyone, she simply chose an empty alley, except that her plans did not go at all as she wished, because while she was talking to the camera, a homeless man appeared behind her. The man intruded in the background, then began to rummage through the garbage cans and dumpsters that were placed along the roadside. This caused the homeless man to get all the attention of the viewers and ruined the shot for the poor reporter, who was desperate to avoid being disturbed. The most hilarious thing is that by putting his head in the dumpster, the homeless man ended up falling in. The newscast that was very serious turned into a Mr. Bean comedy. I think that if you watch the video again, the reporter must be laughing as we speak. Maybe next time it would be better to choose a crowded place so that things like this go unnoticed. In this footage, a young woman was about to race her opponent on a sled. With her back to the camera, she was trying to prepare and warm up so she wouldn't miss her start. But by stretching a little too much and arching her buttocks backwards, the unthinkable happened. While the camera was pointed right at her backside, the jersey of the young loser suddenly tore, revealing on the spot her naked buttocks. An excruciating scene and very embarrassing for the loser, who would have liked the earth to split in two and swallow her. But she is reassured, fortunately, that the young sportswoman has pretty small buttocks. Otherwise, it would have been a completely different story. She will run down the track as usual, except that this time, she will feel a slight air current. Let's hope she doesn't catch a cold. During a program of the Zamors presented at the time by the host Tex, a couple present among the participants had to answer one of the questions put by the host. The principle was that Tex asked a question to the man, to which the woman had already answered beforehand as an aside. Both must have had the same answer to win the point. Except that on this question, the husband was a little confused. Thinking that he would know how to answer a question that she thought was too easy, the wife became angry when she saw that her husband was hesitant to answer. She thought it was so silly that he couldn't answer an obvious question that she became enraged. The host first tried to calm things down and lighten the mood with a little humor, but the woman decided otherwise. She began to insult her husband in front of the entire audience and the millions of viewers who were watching the show. Insults and insults repeatedly, without the poor man being able to answer. So embarrassed was he by what his wife was doing to him. In a few seconds, the set started to look like a boxing ring as the wife was about to throw herself at her husband because she was so angry at him. The most hilarious part was when she went to sit back down and took the sign in her hands. The husband put himself in the defensive position, thinking that he was going to receive a slap from his sweetheart. One of the most mythical scenes in the history of the Zamors, since no other unusual scene has been up to this one since the beginning of the show. Result of races, the couple typed the biggest argument of its life and surely the last one, since they certainly separated while leaving the set. These images were filmed during a pre-match while the Portuguese footballer Cristiano Ronaldo was taking a little walk near a lake. The world champion wanted to get some fresh air and relax with his teammates before facing Hungary in a decisive match. But after a while, a journalist came to interrupt the player's walk and accosted Ronaldo in particular. If there's one thing you should know about him, it's that when he's annoyed or wants to focus on his next game, it's better not to look for him. Why was he annoyed that day? Well, it's because sometime before, he had played against Austria and had missed a penalty against his opponents, which put him a little on edge. So he still hadn't swallowed the pill, and the journalist's visit only made things worse since it was really not the right time to have a chat with CR7. Moreover, everyone knows that the relationship between Cristiano and the daily CMTV has not been good for several years. The player criticizes them for being too violent in their criticism, and that they are very often inappropriate. Naturally, when he saw the journalist of CMTV in front of him, the Portuguese footballer let go completely. When the man asked him a question, Cristiano Ronaldo immediately snatched the microphone from the journalist's hands and threw it into the lake while he was on live TV. The microphone obviously did not survive this mood swing of the Portuguese striker, who was not at all the head to make interviews. Because of this outburst, Cristiano Ronaldo received a horde of criticism, especially from the colleagues of the news channel, and has tarnished his image of gentleman. But the footballer does not care, since his main concern that day was to win against Hungary and make up for his mistakes against Austria. In the end, this breakdown allowed him to pass his nerves on the poor journalist and to enter the game in all serenity. Jimena Sanchez is a sports journalist and television host very famous in Mexico. Also a model, the young woman does not hesitate to boast her assets and to reveal her sexy curves every time she has the opportunity by dressing in ultra-tight clothes. Except that in this show, it is necessary to believe that she forced a little too much on the molding. Because while she was talking about soccer and sports, the journalist was drawing eyes of the viewers to her private parts, which were so molded by her outfit that they were almost revealed. Not to mention her languid gestures that made the scene borderline decent. Many criticized the Mexican journalist's outfit that day as too crude, and she had for the first time several negative feedbacks. But these criticisms have obviously not affected the young woman who continues to show off her charms and her assets on social networks to answer the haters. Maybe the next time she will go on the set, she will still think to put pants. So which one of these sequences did you like the most? Tell us in the comments, and if you like this video, don't forget to give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell to receive all the notifications and not miss anything from our next contents.